Start the camera here again, and first we'll rehydrate the copper sulfate, or excuse me, the magnesium sulfate, and it stays. It started out white and turns white. It is more clear now, though probably a little bit of that is the excess water. They probably didn't do the greatest here with pouring the water on. Then we have the magnesium sulfate, or wow, I'll get this right one of these times. This one was the magnesium sulfate. Now we have the copper 2 sulfate, and the copper 2 sulfate started out blue, and when we add a little bit of water back on, we can see its blue color return. Not as vibrant as before, and that's because this water is not as well bonded before. The only way to really bring the color back on any of these would be to dissolve them completely. And after we dissolve them completely, then we could evaporate the excess water, and the crystals would regrow. And as the crystals regrew, we'd basically end up with a new crystal out of the same old material. Down here we have the cobalt chloride that we started out with. This one was the one that was kind of a purpley magenta color beforehand, and now when we add the water back in,
it's like magenta purple.
It kind of becomes purple again. This one's also used as an acid-base indicator. Cobalt compounds are, and so there's a little bit of color change there that can be artificial because of that, not just because of the hydrate. But anyway, and then over here we have the copper chloride, the copper 2 chloride, which started out green, turned this ugly brown, and when we add the water back to it, we'll...
Is it green again? Like dark green?
It's a very dark green, and because there's excess water there. And if I kind of drain the excess water off to the side, you can see the green color pretty clear. I've always thought that one looks like grass seed when seeded up. Grass seed is very fine needles, usually a tan to brown color. And then turning it back to green kind of looks like the grass granite gland. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but... And we could dehydrate these and rehydrate these, dehydrate these and rehydrate these. They don't look as cool as they did or as spectacular as they did when they started out, or quite like they started out, because the crystal structure does break down a little bit when it heats. And so as the crystal structure breaks down, then you end up with a less pure color, a less dramatic color change, because you don't have this nice rigorous of a crystal. So there's not as many places for the water to hide. Plus, I've not added the exactly right amount of water here, and so we begin to dissolve these because I've added too much water, and there's several other processes going on here that restrict this from being, I guess, normal, if you will.
So, like if you were to reheat it, then the color would get lighter.
The color would go away again. So this one here would go back to white. That one would go back to white. This one would go back to the blue, and this one would go back to brown again. Other questions?